Good morning again. Good morning again. I decided to start something called Tea Talk. I love tea. As you can see, I got my tea set up in the morning. I drink tea every morning. I buy tea by the pound. I buy all kinds of tea. I blend my own teas together and I drink it with different kinds of raw organic honey. And I decided, you know what? I'm gonna start something called Tea Talk, to where when I have my morning tea or whenever I have my tea, I sit down and talk about things from growing food to solar to being more sufficient to mental health to following your passions, everything. And I went ahead and put my shade cloth back up, and as you can see, that keeps everything from, especially my new stuff, my new trees, fruit and nut trees from burning up. They get that nice shade. So it's important to use shade cloth in your food forest. So I'm going to sit down here for a minute and have our first tea talk while I make my tea. So let me get on this stool here. And look at that. I got some turmeric. I say that right. I always mess that up. That I grew in my own food forest. I grew that. I got some ginger root, turmeric root. I grew the ginger too in my own food forest. I grew my own turmeric and ginger. This is from last year's crop. I've got some peppermint, and I've got some hibiscus in here, and lavender, all in here. 4 different types of plants in here that I'm going to make my tea with. Then I'm going to go ahead, pour that good hot water in there. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And I'll let that set. I normally drink 2 cups of tea in the mornings. The benefits of drinking tea, the health benefits, is just amazing. Plants are medicine. Plants are medicine. The Most High, I'm not going to get too religious on here, but I do believe in a higher power. I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. I'm going to say that. I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. Uh, I believe the Most High has already given us everything we've already need to be healthy and sustainable. I also believe that man has created his own systems of health, not for health care, but for capitalism. Hear me out. Not for health care, but for capitalism. Meaning that man puts money over health, especially when it comes to all these obituates and toxic pills that they give us to put in our bodies. That's the side effects and everything else that's actually can cause more harm than the actual disease itself. Um, Let me give you a little bit background about myself, because I really haven't talked about where I'm from and all that. I am from a place in the Midwest called Omaha, Nebraska. Yes, there are melanated people in Omaha, Nebraska. There's melanated people all over the world. Um, I was born in Omaha, Nebraska, raised by a single mother. My papa was a Rolling Stone, and I had no shame in admitting that. I was raised by a single mother in North Omaha, the melanated black community of North Omaha, and I was raised in Logan Fontenelle Housing Development, aka the projects. I'm from the projects, and not ashamed to say I'm from the projects. We called it Little Vietnam. Um, I was raised in the projects from a child up until I was I was 18. I graduated and went right into the military. I went right into the Navy because I wanted to see the world. I wanted to see something different. I wanted to break generational curses. and live a better life. And me going to the Navy might have probably saved my life. Um, get me out of them, get me out of the environment. Got to realize, crack crack hit black community in 86, 87. I graduated in 87, and the crack epidemic hit our city just like it hit any other city. So a lot of my friends got caught up into the crack game, and a lot of them end up being that I was raised with in them projects end up dead or end up killing other people. Some of them are still locked up. A lot of them have been locked up and and bear the scars from the drug wars. So I during my military time in the Navy, I've served in 2 wars, served in combat, 2 wars. All that I'm not going to go into detail into it because it's not a lot of glamorous things to talk about when you're talking about war. But what it did do is give me a chance to see the world, and it's a big, I didn't have a clue how big the world was until I got on that plane to San Diego, California, to go to boot camp and graduated and got on my first ship and made my first 6-month deployment on that ship around the world to all these different places in the world, and it opened my mind up. And I've been to many countries, y'all. I've been around the world a few times on those naval ships, and I became a man. And while in the military, my mom bought her first home. She bought her first home when I was about 19, and my little sister was the only one left, so she got a chance to be raised in a home, which was good. My mom always worked. She never sat around. She was never on welfare, y'all. Just because people live in the projects doesn't mean they're on welfare. My mom has always kept a job. Always. She worked all her life. She's retired now, and she's going to be 80 years old next month. She's a matriarch of our family. So she's always worked. So don't think just because people are poor, that people are living in low income, that they're lazy. That's a myth. That's not true. Everybody who's living in low income housing or living in blighted communities are not lazy. You got to realize my mama came from Mobile, Alabama. She came up during Jim Crow segregation. So they left the South. They left the South because the South was so bad for a better life up north and everything. So, and here we are, the next generation going back to the South to reclaim what's ours, because we got to realize the slaves built this country agriculture wise. We were the first farmers. We were the ones out there working them fields and sowing them seeds. So even coming up in the projects, my mom always had a lot. She had an empty lot across the street from our unit, and she planted that lot every spring. She planted seeds. She planted collard greens, mustard greens, tomatoes, watermelons, okra. And I was the only child. It's 4 of us. It's 3 boys and 1 girl, and I'm the youngest boy. I was always out there with her in them fields. I mean, in her lot, in her big lot she had across the street from the projects, planting seeds, learning about insects and all that. I was always into that as a child, you know. And now that I know I'm in my 50s now, I should have been a farmer. I should have been a farmer. It's in my blood, but it's never too late. I'm growing food now, you know. And so that got me into nature. That got me into always being curious about growing my own food and all that with my mother. So after my naval career, I got out of the Navy, you know, and so forth and everything, and I continued on with my life. I worked in different careers. I worked a little bit in law enforcement. I worked I worked for the post office. I've done a lot of things, but I've always wanted to be a farmer. That's what I really wanted to be, was a farmer. So, and it didn't hit me. That didn't hit me until a few years ago. You know, I don't work anymore. I'm retired, and I love growing my own food. That's what I do. That's a little bit back to me. And I have a beautiful daughter. I have a beautiful 10.5-year-old daughter she's in Omaha, Nebraska. I had my first kid at 43 and a half. I had my first child at 43 and a half. She's 10 and a half. You do the math on how old I am now. But she's my life, and I look forward to. She's back and forth between here and Texas, and she likes Texas. So I'm going to see her next month, actually, again. So, and I'm looking forward to her. She comes down here often, and I'm looking forward to where when she gets older, we can put her on that plane. We feel more comfortable with her being on a plane by herself, and she'll be down here all the time because she loves it down here. I see her moving down here after high school and going to college and being with her daddy, staying down here with her daddy, hopefully. That's my plan. She don't know it yet, but that's my plan. But that's a little bit about Wayne. And I let my tea set in the brewery here. Let it set, and then I got my jar here, my ball jar, and I take this like that, and look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And this tea smells so good. You can smell it. Oh, it smells so good. And when that's done, and I use my tea twice. I'll fill this up again and make another cup of tea when I'm done drinking this. I normally drink 2 of these a day. And I take my honey like that, and I put it in there. Look at that. Look at that raw honey. Just like that. And then I take this baby, and I just pour it on in there. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? This is how I brew my tea. Just like that. And I take it. I mix all that goodness up. All that delicious organic medicine up. There's benefits to eating raw honey, y'all. There's so many good properties of health that are in raw honey. Everybody should be using raw honey as a sweetener. Don't use white sugar. Use raw honey. Get that like that. Hang that around here. Take my first sip. Ah, that's so good. So let's talk about fast forward and talk about what's going on in the world with inflation, high interest rates, food shortages, violence, the big C disease. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to get flagged by the tube. Y'all know what that is, the big C virus and all that. Let's talk about high inflation and ever increasing interest rates and what's going on. Right now, we are in a recession, people. We are in a recession. Don't let them fool you. We are in a recession. You can see it. You can feel it with high gas prices. Interest rates are being raised by the Fed. The Fed is raising the interest rates because they have to. In order to slow this runaway inflation train down, they have to keep raising the interest rates up, or inflation will just keep going and going and going. Actually, what the Fed is trying to do, this is my opinion, the Fed is actually trying to crash the economy by raising the interest rates. The only way they can stop inflation is to crash the economy. That means to raise interest rates so high to where the stock market crashes, to where the housing market crashes, to where the oil industry crashes, until everything crashes. And when it does that, then they can reset everything. They can reset the whole economy. If they raise the interest rates up to, say, let's say 9%, and everything crashes, all those markets crash, we're in a crisis, economic crisis and all that. Then, once it's done crashing, the Fed can come back and reset everything. Then they can drop interest rates all the way back down low again and start the whole economy back up again with low interest rates and all that. That's why I say right now, it's a bad time to buy a home. If you don't own a home now, don't buy one to after the big crash, after the big reset. Don't buy a house, because right now if you buy a house, you're getting robbed. The houses are overvalued right now. Interest rates are high. You'll be in debt until you die trying to pay for a home. At 5.7 to 6%, 7% interest rate on a 30-year mortgage, you will be living poor. That's too high. Interest rates are too high to buy a home. Wait till it crashes and then buy a home. I think we all should be trying to be more self-sustainable. I think we all, excuse me, y'all. I think we all should try to own property, being it a house, condo, or whatever. But I don't think it has to be a house. I think we all should own land. You don't have to buy a house in the suburbs. You can buy you a lot. You can buy you an acre of land and put a mobile home on that acre of land for cheap and live just as fine, and actually live better than you would, and cheaper than you would, in a box suburb home, cookie cutter home with the HOA. So that's my view on that. And like I was saying, it's going to be a rough ride, y'all. We are just starting this recession, and we're headed for a depression. It's going to get worse. The crime's going to go up. So learn to protect yourself. As I go into the stores, I'm seeing less fresh food. A lot of the fruit, it's not looking good. A lot of the stuff they don't even have. And this super bug is not over with yet. The big C. The big C is not over with yet. Matter of fact, another variant's out right now, and the hospitals are starting to fill back up again. So we could have another episode of the big virus and shut everything down. Anything's possible. So these are the things that are on my mind right now. I think it's important to get off grid as much as possible. We've gotten to the point where we become too codependent on big government. We've become too codependent on government supplying all of our power, our water, our food. And now we are seeing the effects of that in hard times. I'm down here in Texas, ERCOT, our power grid. We are the only independent power grid in the whole country, y'all. Meaning that we have our own power system that is not linked to the rest of the country. We are the only ones. And right now that power infrastructure is old, dilapidated. As Texas is the most growing state in the whole country right now. Everybody's moving to Texas. Everybody's moving to Houston and Austin, actually. These are two most growing cities in the nation. And as more people come, there's more demand on the power grid. A power grid that's broken, outdated, and we can't tie into the other power grids like everybody else can, like other states can, to get power. So every day they're saying, hey, turn your power off because the power grid might go down. In some places inside the city of Houston, the power grid does fail. And it's important to be ready. Be ready with your solar generators, even a small gas generator. Just be prepared. And it's showing you can't depend on the government save you. Ain't nobody coming to save you. Ain't nobody coming to save us. We see that. And if you own a home, you have plenty of real estate to make your own power. You got a whole roof. You got a whole roof where you can put solar panels on. If you got a backyard, you can put solar panels up. There's no excuse. There is no excuse. And solar has gotten so cheap to when anybody can afford solar with the technology of solar and solar power generators and so forth. So there's no excuse. If we can go out and buy $200 and $300 pair of sneakers, all these name brand clothes that don't produce anything, then you can buy some solar panels and some generators, or you can even build your own system like I'm doing right now, building my own system. It's all about priorities and saving your money and putting it in the right places. So I can go on and on and on, but I want to save some for the next tea time. I'm going to enjoy my tea, drink my tea. And this is Regenerative Life Wayne 69 coming to you from his backyard. Food Force, please like my channel. Please subscribe. And I'm going to drink my tea. I'm going to go inside because it's getting hot out here, y'all. It's been in the triple digits almost every day in Houston now, in Texas. If it ain't 95, it's 100. If it ain't 100, it's 104. So with that, I'm signing off. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. I'll say.